Hey everybody, it's Galmanex and welcome back to the Avatar The Last Airbender Early Access event. Thanks again to Wizards of the Coast for providing me with the promotional Early Access token, and without further ado, let's get into the video. We are going to be playing another pre-release style sealed event here. In these events, you're going to be getting 4 play booster packs as well as 2 faction packs based around the character and color of your choice. First time around, we went for Toph, went for some green stuff with a lot of Earthbending. It was very successful and very fun, but let's go a completely different direction here. Let's head towards black this time around with Azula. Azula is another Firebender, so we get to see the Firebending mechanic more in action instead of the Earthbending mechanic, and in black as the main color for these faction packs, we get to see the color that has a ton of removal in this set, and maybe play something a little bit more controlling, a little bit more interactive, instead of that kind of go wide, build a bunch of creatures out like our green deck was. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bust open our packs and see what we get to build with for today's pre-release. All right, we got more rares this time around. We got 8 rares instead of just the 6 we had on our first run. We also have duplicate rares, multiple duplicates, which is very strange. 2 of the same green mythic rare? What does this do? So this is a saga, the Legend of Kyoshi, where you get to draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control, then Earthbend, so turn one of your lands into a creature for X, where X is the number of cards in your hand, so if you have 7 cards in hand, you make one of your lands a 7/7 creature, and then you flip this into the creature Avatar Kyoshi, a 5/4. Lands you control have trample and hexproof. And tap to add X if any one color where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. I mean, having 2 copies of that saga does make me want to play green again here. But obviously we're going to have a bunch of black spells in the sealed pool, a bunch of commons and uncommons, as well as these 3 rares. So maybe some kind of black-green deck this time around. There's a couple copies of Raven Eagle. This is a rare that we saw on our opponent's side of the board the first time. This lets you exile a card from a grave when it enters and when it attacks, and each time you exile a creature card, you get a clue token. So this is potentially a lot of card draw off of this one spell if there's enough creatures in graveyards, which is really nice. There's also Boiling Rock Rider. Haven't seen this one yet. 3 mana for a 3/3 with Firebending 1, so it gives you that 1 red mana during combat, so you can use that mana on instants, and you can use that mana on activated abilities, but nothing else outside of that. You can tap an untapped ally you control to exile a card from a grave, and whenever it attacks, you can cast an ally spell from among cards you own exiled with this creature. So if you run a bunch of allies in your deck, then you can exile allies out of your grave, and then when you declare the attack with the Rock Rider, you get that 1 Firebended mana. That's one of the mana you need to cast that ally from the grave. Seems interesting. Seems reasonably powerful as long as you have allies to go with it. Certainly we'll play that if we go black-green, which is the most likely, but we'll check out our blue cards as well. We've got the Unagi of Kyoshi Island, a 5 mana 5/5 flash, Ward of Waterbend 4. So Waterbending is essentially a mana cost that you can pay with either mana or by tapping your creatures or artifacts. So this is kind of like Ward 4, but easier to target than that, right? They could tap 4 of their creatures, even if they don't have any mana for the ward. Whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, you draw 2 cards. Okay, that's really nice. That's very flexible. I mean, you could just ambush one of their creatures and eat it when they declare the attack. You could also cast this in response to a draw spell, and then you get to draw 2 as well. Seems like a perfectly solid blue card. There's also Yue the Moon Spirit. 4 mana 3/3 Flying Vigilance, that's already great. 5 mana tap, and that is Waterbend, so you can also tap your creatures and artifacts. You can cast a non-creature spell from your hand without paying its mana cost. That's a little bit less exciting in Draft and Sealed, but certainly 4 mana 3/3 Flying Vigilance, that is spectacular. And our final card, the least likely to get run just because it's 3 colors, is Sokka Tenacious Tactician, 1 a blue, red, and a white. For 3/3 menace prowess, gives all your other allies menace and prowess, and you make more when you cast non-creatures. Does seem very powerful, but it'll be really hard to run those exact 3 colors when we chose a black sealed pool today. All right, let's take a peek through things here. Just a quick peek again, trying to record as many of these videos during this 1 day long early access event as possible. So it won't be the most in-depth sealed pool deck building. We won't be reading all the cards out loud or even looking at every single card, mainly just the stuff on color to our heaviest colors, which is, black for sure, since we got our 2 Azula packs. You get enough cards to just play a monocolored card in your character's color quite often. Where's our Azula? Okay, so we just opened the uncommon Azula out of our faction packs. So whenever Azula attacks, you get a clue token and you firebend 2, so that's the 2 mana you need to sack that clue token immediately if you want to, if you have nothing else to do with that mana. So that's pretty solid. And that works well with any of the other cards that care about drawing a second card each turn, like this Wolf Bats. So that's cute. Let's take a look at our green, see how good that looks, because we've got the double green mythic here. Do we have other cards to go with them? Ostrich Horse to keep drawing lands. And then mainly a bunch of filler. Badger Mole seems pretty fine, but basically be mono black plus double Legend of Kyoshi. Ooh, Zao lets you buff the whole board every time you sack another permanence, like when you're sacking clues. Doesn't have a way to do it by himself, but that's pretty interesting. The hybrid mana also means it's basically a mono black card as well. We got a lightning strike out of our red, that's pretty good. It's pretty decent looking red cards. Blue gives us those other double rares. So if we have other good blue, we could play blue instead of green. Just because we're getting access to more than just like the 2 mythics. Just also good like commons and uncommons there. Yeah, they seem pretty fine. I think I just want to play the big crazy green mythics here. Put all our hybrid mana cards into the deck. Our black-green dual land. Some fixing. And see what we want to cut down from there. First and foremost, keep it nice and simple. We'll go 15 to 17 creatures. We can cut down to like 7 non-creature cards. This is basically a creature, so I'm not really gonna consider that in my non-land count. We only have 1 shrine, so Northern Air Temple seems pretty bad. Zuko's Conviction seems interesting. It's your Rise from the Grave style Reanimator effect, but you can cast it for cheaper if you don't have enough mana just to put the card back in your hand. It's kind of cool. I like the Seismic Sense. I like the barrels. Definitely will play Epic Downfall. And Sold Out as the best removal spells we have. And we're surprisingly low on removal for black. I guess we play these Swamp Snare Traps at that point then. We don't really need fixing that badly. We're a 2-color deck that's really deep on the main color, just black. So the mana base should be nice and easy. I could cut all those out, and this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, don't count the battle fan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 non-creature spells. So I would ideally still want to cut a little bit. Some amount of convictions and snare traps, having the multiples. Do I like Jelly better than Swamp Snare Trap when we're just a 2-color deck? That mana filtering certainly gets less exciting. Yeah, we'll play the Swamp Snares over that. Got one Zuko's Conviction. That is now 7 non-creatures, so we'll start with that. That's the counts. And now we work on our mana curve. I don't think we're cutting any 2-mana creatures. We only have 5 in the sealed pool. In black and green. It's kind of wild. We're about 3 mana. Should have a decent enough ally count to definitely play the Rioter. Absolutely playing double Raven Eagle as well. Fire Nation Engineers. Get a +1/+1 counter every turn you're attacking. We're going to try to keep attacking, so sure. Hog Monkeys sounds... I mean, the name sounds a little weird, but also seems a little slow. Same with Pirate Peddlers. I like the Wolf Bat in a double Raven Eagle kind of deck. Those clues there. I also kind of like the double Messenger Hawk. Go for a pretty consistent draw 2 theme. And that goes with our Azula as well. With those clue tokens. This is so many 3-mana creatures, though. So many of them. Yeah, I guess if I had to cut some, would probably be the Messenger Hawks, because we just have double Raven Eagle being pretty much better Messenger Hawks. Might try to keep Vindictive Warden in and try that card out. 4 mana now, certainly playing Azula. Buzzard Wasp Colony, that's pretty cute with +1/+1 counter stuff, so with like the Earthbend mechanic where you're making a bunch of lands with counters on them. But we don't have a crazy amount of counters in this deck. Swamp Hunters seem okay, but not super exciting. We do have that bit of a clue theming going on, so I like the Zows. Try them out. Sack another creature artifact, draw a card, put a counter on this. So it can sack clues for free or sack other creatures, but I can't have that many 5-mana cards. Low and Lee, Twin Tutors. Search your library for a lesson or noble. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. We have 1 lesson. And they're also the only noble. No, we only have 1 noble. They don't count. We can tutor Azula out with them, but other than that, they're not very good in this deck, so probably not play that. And then I will not play the Canyon Crawlers, I'll just play the Legend of Kyoshis. That puts us to 42 cards, still 2 cuts to go. Let's go big on the clues here. Let's cut like Engineer and Warden that are really just like attackers. And keep all the clue token synergy stuff. And the clues can try to keep us at a decent amount of cards in hand for Legend of Kyoshi. Kind of even want to put another piece of card draw back in, like the clue token producing Hawk. Yeah, I'm going to put the Hawk back in, cut one of these traps. So you got a black-based kind of clue token focused deck here. 2 Raven Eagles, Messenger Hawk, Azula to be making clue tokens, and then the Zao buffing the whole board every time we're sacking those clue tokens. A little bit of interaction here, some removal spells, and then our double Legend of Kyoshi to try to be our top-end bomb. Looks like a pretty fun deck. Should be a nice, interesting, different kind of change of pace from our first one, even if we are still playing green and we are still playing a couple really big Earthbenders. So, should be a fun deck. Without further ado, let's just hop into that gameplay and see how this one does. All right, here we are now against Paul Cheon for our game one, our inaugural game with this deck. Paul Cheon, a very, very experienced drafter, has his own YouTube channel I highly recommend. Just start with the court official here. Paul discards a Meteor Sword, 7 mana. There's Meteor Golem as an equipment if you know Meteor Golem. Equips for +3/+3. Normal Meteor Golem is just a 7 mana. 3/3 that destroys something when it comes into play. Foggy Swamp Spirit Keeper. That card seems fantastic. Don't mind just exiling that here. Could go mana efficiency and play Wolfbat for now, but then I let them gain the life and potentially get a trigger. It'd be mana efficiency because we could play a 3-drop now, and then next turn I could play Epic Downfall and another 2-mana spell at the same time. Dai Li Indoctrination. Choose a non-land permanent, they discard that card. Probably Zhao, but maybe the Legend of Kyoshi. Legend of Kyoshi it is. Then there's Knowledge Seeker. When we draw your second card each turn, put a counter on this, and when it dies, get a clue token. Solid looking stuff. They've got 1 card left in their hand. Let's see if Zhao can hold down the fort for us. If not, we've drawn into that Swamp Snare Trap to clear out that Knowledge Seeker. Teo. Whenever it attacks, draw a card, discard a card, put a +1/+1 counter on it when they discard non-lands. This is -3 toughness, which is not enough to kill Teo. Okay. So we just play Wolfbat and Merchant here. They've got 4 power, but I could kill Knowledge Seeker in the 1/1. I also have the trap. That's a cute animation. Okay, Arena. Teo does some digging. Draw a card, discard a card. Does ditch an on land, gets the counter. Triggers the Knowledge Seeker as well. Teo seems pretty incredible. I've played 2 of these events so far, and Teo has always seemed like a pretty big problem. Swamp Cycle to play Katara this turn. Well, now I gotta destroy Katara, so they can't just draw 5 million cards this game. If I hold Wolfbat off, I could double block Knowledge Seeker. See, Knowledge Seeker and Teo are both triggering next turn. I might have to just not attack at all. Yeah, this is a rough spot. Teo is just gonna pop off here. Just too big for my Swamp Snare Trap. There's Paul's own Raven Eagle. We've got 2 of those. Can I draw 1, please? Yeah, and Teo can even spread those +1/+1 counters around to other flyers. Awful draws. But mainly this is just the power of Teo here. Or just Teo. However it's pronounced. Alright, we're super dead. Alright, here we are now on the play for game number 2. We got our turn 2 Merchant of Many Hats down, and we're on a green-black mirror match. Dies deal damage to you, create a clue. Okay. There you go. Raven Eagle Fuel. Exile creature from a grave, get a clue. Opponent sacks their clue token. We draw for turn. Let's go land Seismic Sense. Second Raven Eagle, but there's no creatures in grave for it. I kind of want to go Azula here. Reach, Death Touch, blocker, so much for the Eagle. Trade the Rioter off into that stuff. Firebending mana on the clue. They do not take the trade with the Riders, they take that all to the face, and then we drop Azula for more clues and more Raven Eagle burn. Kyoshi Battle Fan. We can court official pre-combat here, see if we can get them to shove another creature into their grave. Ostrich Horse, that might do it for us. Mill 3. Sure does. 3 creatures into the grave. That's exactly what Raven Eagle wants to see. Sentry's attacking in, though. Okay. Now I'm really happy with Raven Eagle. Oh! Well, this is going to be a huge attack. Be an astronomical attack. Look at all this! Yeah. Use that Firebending mana for the double clue sack. Kaboom. Ka-ching. Kill the rider, chump the Azula, take 8 to the face, they're down to 2, and we pass from there. GG from opponent, that'll be 1-1. It's going to be 2 very one-sided games in a row. Just kind of one player getting their crazy draw synergy off and going each game. They've got the reach blocker up here, so we just go for the go wide lethal. Okay, no, they're just gonna plunge it in. Fair enough. There you go. One and one heading into game 3. Here we are for game 3, now against Voxy. Needs no introduction, but if you've ever seen Shuffle Up and Play on Solarian Community College, you've probably seen Voxy screaming. But I do highly recommend her streams as well. She plays basically nothing but draft when she streams Magic. And it's that same together, Shuffle Up and Play level energy. Smack for 2 and play a Battle Fan, because we missed our land draw to drop the Eagle down, sadly. Iguana Parrot, Flying Vigilant Prowess. Cool. There's the land we needed here. Jam in, drop the Eagle. Eagle without getting the draw trigger off of it's pretty sad. But Downfall Exiles, that also doesn't get the draw trigger. Now let's just drop the Eagle. Grasp the Pox Bears to keep it tapped. Get our 4th mana, but it's another green, awkwardly. Casting the Sold Out here more than I like the Epic Downfall, but the Epic Downfall plays around the Quench counterspell. I think I will play around the Quench counterspell. There's certainly an argument to go for the Sold Out, which is that like anything I'll want to kill with Epic Downfall later, I could also kill with Sold Out, and it would be cheaper. Uh-oh. Flash Prowess rare, tap, stun it for as long as they control Ty Lee. Okay. And a big flyer. Exile big flyer. Whenever Suki attacks, create an ally. That's not good. Gonna be a draw 2. Do really need that Suki to ideally not attack, but I feel like Voxy's just gonna have some kind of interaction for Zhao anyway. No! Zuko and Zuko's exile? Wait, where did I see a Zuko? I know I saw Zuko somewhere. Well, we're probably dead. Get the prowess draw. Azula on the hunt. Drain for 1, sack this clue, or battle fan up the token. I need to make sure my blockers are as good as possible. Spread them out there. No spells, Voxy, no spells. Thank you. Sack a land, draw a card. Play a land. More removal off the top. This is brutal. I was about to say fastest block in the West. I do not have time to live this. Go to 4, draw a court official, and I'm dead. I mean, the drain for 1 is something, but it's not realistically enough. Sack and draw again. Play a land, combat, and I am dead. I have to go to 1, I have to chomp, I can't save my other creature. Alright, brutal. Incredible stuff from Ty Lee and Suki there. Alright, here we are for game number 3. We gotta recover, because we are getting bullied by the big streamers. This is big streamer privilege. Get destroyed by Paul Cheon and Voxy. This pre-release event. Oh, that's good value from Corrupt Court Official. We got rid of their Firebending lesson, which is a little shock removal spell that they can kick to do 5 damage instead later. Did not get a creature into the grave for this Raven Eagle. I wouldn't mind Trump attacking with Court Official for Raven Eagle. But obviously if they don't kill it here, I'll just play Messenger Hawk. Messenger Hawk it is. Longfang, Grand Secretariat. Whenever another creature you control or a land you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a counter on a creature you control. It's pretty good. I like that a lot with some of the cards that can like repeatedly some of the cards that can repeatedly Earthbend 1. Because you can keep like making the same land 1/1 over and over and over. Have it keep dying and giving those triggers around. Four color from our opponent this time around: green, red, black, and blue. So this is one of the open a bunch of cool rares, want to play all the cool rares style decks. I'll play the Raven Eagle here, make sure that I draw into land 6. And I'm just going to crack the clue right now to get the life drain. Buy us a little bit of time. It is not land 6. Come on in, Longfang. There's Toph, the little version, the uncommon version. Animate a 2/2 mountain. And play Aang's Journey for the plains, full 5 color. Yeah, let's go, full 5 color from our opponent. They're probably playing some big multicolored card I haven't seen yet. Oh man, that was a rough time to miss land 6. The double Legend of Kyoshi we're trying to get started. I think their scariest card is still Longfang. So I don't mind sold out exiling Longfang here. Could also Seismic Sense and hit the land. Our second Eagle. I'm gonna hit a second Eagle because it means I can make a clue and draw 2 next turn. At that point. Flopsy. That is very strong here. Buff everybody up and make them harder to block. Can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. Well, there goes my Raven Eagle, but by killing this mountain, we are vastly reducing the size of their Toph as well. And Toph's just 1 power in the future. There's Epic Downfall for Flopsy. Can play that and play the Eagle in the same turn. Set that up here. Exile our own Messenger Hawk now for the clue. I will say I've been pretty unimpressed by this so far. We've been in a lot of positions where it's like hard to justify running it out even when we've had the mana. Because you're just on the back foot and it takes a while before you actually make a blocker with it. No immediate impact on the board. And then there's times like this where we're just kind of stuck on mana a little bit. And then it's just like hard to have enough mana in the first place. That's probably horrific for me. Katara. 1/1 white ally. Waterbend X. All of your creatures get power toughness X till end of turn. Okay. So they just make their whole board insanely large next turn. Oh, it's got Waterbending on that ability too? Well, I would have died if I didn't block. And then we just die before we hit 6 mana? What a rough run. Draws have been way worse than the first time around, but that's Magic for you. Get some drain here. I can play blocker. I mean, I have to draw here, because if I can't kill Katara, I'm just dead. This ability's insane. And the Waterbend XX, that is not removal. Scry towards removal. Not removal. Draw to the removal with this clue, maybe. Gotta be the downfall at this point, the 2-mana one, and that's not it. All right, Katara is broken in half, and we get demolished by great rares and big streamers this run. Just destroyed. Sad stuff, but that is the way of Magic. You go 7-0 into 1-3 sometimes. It's the way of life. Very unimpressed by Legend of Kyoshi. I mean, we didn't even get to resolve that card a single time, so I do think the blue-black build would have ended up being much better in the end. Get one more good clue token provider that plays well with all of our black spells, and then get some slightly cheaper rares to actually be able to cast them a little more consistently. I think this would have just been the better build. Had we started with that, maybe we have a better chance in some of those losses. Don't think there's much we could do gameplay-wise the way our draws lined up against our opponent's draws. It was deck building stuff that could have potentially taken us farther, but if there's anything you learn today, it would be Legend of Kyoshi. Little bit worse than it looks. It looks pretty incredible, but it has some pretty major downsides. Not impacting the board at all the turn you play it, only impacting your cards in hand, and also being a 6-mana spell. Those can be genuine downsides that can get you killed. Now that said, it's also not as terrible as it looked today. It will still win you games if you can get to that mana if you're in a stable position to cast it. And it's certainly better when you're heavy green and you have more high power creatures. So there's still a home for it. It is still a powerful finisher in the right deck, but not quite strong enough that for a deck like this, that might not be the right deck. It has a bunch of smaller black creatures. It might not quite be worth going in that direction over other, just more efficient rares like these blue rares here. And I think that's where I was overvaluing it, just seeing that mythic rare symbol, getting excited by all the text on the card. It's better to just play the more efficient rares here for a deck like this. So, a little bit of a learning moment here today, but that's what pre-release is for, that's what early access is for, and that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.